Hey guys, let's discuss today's first question. This relates to a terrorist who was killed recently. Ayman al Zawahiri was killed by the United States with a drone missile, a Hellfire drone missile, at his home in Kabul. Which terrorist group was Ayman al Zawahiri associated? Al Zawahiri belonged to Egypt, okay, and he was associated with Al Qaeda. Al means the. In Arabic, al means the, qaida means base, foundation. The base on which the future Islamic Caliphate would be built. That's why this was started in 1987 by two guys, Abdullah Azam and Osama bin Laden. Now, Laden, as you know, was killed by the US Special Forces near Abbottabad and in Abbottabad. And this guy, Ayman al Zawahiri, who is a medical doctor, succeeded bin Laden. Of course, now this guy is dead, and we do not know as to who would succeed Zawahiri. And see, this is an amorphous terrorist group. Al Qaeda, core Al Qaeda, comprises around 50 to 70 people. This is core Al Qaeda, and Al Qaeda has a lot of affiliations across the world. Like there is this terrorist group in Indonesia called Jemaah Islamiyah. Then you have Jaish-e-Mohammed, choice one. Jaish-e-Mohammed is affiliated to Al Qaeda. Now, Jaish-e-Mohammed is a Pakistan-based terrorist group waging war against our country. So does Lashkar-e-Taiba. Now you look at another terrorist group called the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, which is in Philippines. Okay, in short, it's called MILF. Now, this also pledges its allegiance to Al Qaeda. Then there is this Abu Sayyaf, again in Philippines. Okay, I mean, a lot of terrorist groups around the world have pledged affiliation to Al Qaeda. Some have in recent times switched their allegiance to Islamic State, like for example Al Shabaab, which is a terrorist group in Somalia. It has switched its allegiance from Al Qaeda to Islamic State. Islamic State. Then you have Boko Haram, which is in Nigeria. This is a terrorist group active in Nigeria. This is Somalia. Pakistan based against India. So it is important for us to become familiar with these kinds of organizations that are ravaging societies in the countries they are present. Okay. Now, Islamic State, of course, it started as the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, ISIS, and then moved to, it renamed itself as the Islamic State in Iraq and the Levant, Levant. Levant is the other name for Syria. Okay, so that area, Iraq and Syria area, is where the Islamic State was active for a long period. Then, of course, at that time it controlled a huge tract of territory in both Iraq and Syria. In Syria, Raqqa, RAQQA, and Mosul to an extent in Iraq fell to Islamic State. It was led by this man called Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. He came from Baghdad. So Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the Baghdadi. See, in these terrorist groups, there are a lot of guys with similar names, similar sounding names. So they came to be associated with the place name they came from. Like for example, a guy coming from Kuwait, he would be called Al Kuwaiti. A guy coming from Egypt would be called Al Misri, Misri. Misri is a corruption, is a derivative of the word Misr, Misr, which is the Arabic word for Egypt. Okay, so this is a fascinating world. I'm greatly interested in learning about this. I've spent close to 25 years of my life in learning these things. And nothing has fascinated more than the way humans respond to fears around them. Yeah. See, this Boko Haram is a terrorist group active in North Nigeria. North Nigeria is pretty, is a Muslim predominant area. South of Nigeria is a Christian dominant area. So Boko Haram, the meaning of the word Boko Haram is Western education is forbidden. Western education is forbidden. It says that Western education is evil. It's not allowed. It should be banned, he says. So their very famous, or rather infamous modus operandi is of kidnapping Christian children, non-Muslim children, and especially the girl children, and taking them away. Taking them away. Of course, then they are turned into sex slaves and married off to those fighters in the terrorist organization. So this is a very common practice in Nigeria. Okay, Islamic State is not pretty active now, but then it has inspired a lot of lone wolf attacks. Lone wolf, if you are not familiar with this word, this term, I'll write it here. Lone wolf. So people sit in front of the TV and they get radicalized by the content online. So people want to say, someone listens to, someone watches certain videos where, which are geared towards propaganda. I mean, they're all propaganda videos designed to trap young people into, into changing. They brainwash these young people, and they are told that they are dying for a bigger cause. So Islamic State has always inspired lone wolf attacks across Europe. A couple of attacks happened in the US recently, but then mostly in Europe. Okay. I hope you learned a few things about this, guys. Al-Nazaf, the fourth, is a joint military drill exercise between India and Oman. Oman, as you know, is a country in the Arabian Peninsula. Okay, I'll stick to military exercises in this case. Okay, UAE. So India's military exercises with these countries, what are the names? UAE, United Arab Emirates. The exercise is called Desert Eagle. Desert Eagle. Qatar is Zair al-Bahar. Zair al-Bahar. Qatar, as like Oman and UAE, is in the Gulf, is what we call the Persian Gulf area. It's in the Arabian Peninsula. Kyrgyzstan, you would have Khanjar. Kyrgyzstan, like Uzbekistan, is in Central Asia. What is this? Uzbekistan, Dustalik, yes, Dustalik. Okay. So these are the major military exercises, like you have with Thailand, Maitri, military exercise. Maitri means friendship. With Japan, Dharma Guardian. I mean, with the UK, there is Konkan. So plenty of military exercises that India's defense forces participate in. Okay. As per a recent study by the PRS Legislative Research, which Indian state held the most number of sittings of state assembly in 2021 at 61 days. That's something good. Kerala. Now, most state assemblies witness these kinds of, most legislative houses, both at the center as well as the states, they witness a lot of disruptions. People protest, they walk out, stage walkouts are dismissed, suspended. So there are a lot of disruptions in the normal proceedings of the house. But the Kerala assembly has had the maximum number of what we say, maximum number of uh, sessions, which is a good thing. 61 is a good number. Now, I just tell you something more extra stuff. You know, the Parliament of India is a bicameral house. Bicameral. Bi means two. Cam means home. Basically, bicameral means two houses. You have Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Similarly, 6 Indian states have bicameral legislatures. 6 Indian. You could write this. States with legislative council. States with legislative councils. Okay. 1. Bihar. 2. Uttar Pradesh. 3. Maharashtra. I'm writing in short. Maharashtra. Then we have, what is that? Telangana state. Telangana. Andhra Pradesh. 6. What is it? I think Karnataka. Yeah, Karnataka. Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, and Karnataka have legislative councils. So these are the only 6 Indian state legislatures with bicameral houses. Okay. According to the annual report of the World Trade Organization, which country topped the list of trade-related concerns at WTO in 2021 with a 35% share? I mean, we always have lodged complaints against a lot of countries, primarily against the European Union and China. Okay, so India's number one among those countries that complained against unfair practices, trade practices, resorted to by foreign countries. WTO, just to tell you, WTO is headquartered in Geneva. Its Director General is Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Okay. Now one more thing. It has 164 members. 164 members. Latest is Afghanistan. And Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is the first woman Director General of the World Trade Organization. First woman. Also, she is from Nigeria. She's from Nigeria, the first woman Director General of the World Trade Organization. India's Achinta Shioli recently bagged a gold medal at the 2022 Commonwealth Games. Achinta is associated with weightlifting. He created a Commonwealth Games record in the 73 kg category. He competes in the 73 kg category. And Achinta is just about 20 years old. Can you believe that? 20 years old. He competes in the 73 kg category, and he comes from a very poor family. Very poor family. The mother and the brother, the brother could not complete school because the brother had to take care of the family, his elder brother. So this guy would help his mother in the embroidery, in embroidery work. So apart from which he used to, work, he used to participate, or he used to practice weightlifting. And today he is a CWG champion. That is what hard work, commitment, perseverance, dedication does. We should look up people like Achinta. Yeah, deeply inspiring, my friends. I read this story and I was quite inspired. And it's a good thing to have such young people work so hard. Yeah, they bring glory not only to themselves but to our country as well, to all of us. Okay, and he created a CWG record by lifting a total of, if I'm not wrong, 313 kg. Yeah, 313 kgs. Yeah, snatch, clean and jerk. There are divisions like that, but overall lift was 313 kilos. 20 years old. The Director General of Sashastra Seema Bal, Dr. Sujoy Lal Towson, recently took over as the with the additional charge of DG of, he's a new DG of Indo-Tibetan Border Police, ITBP, CRPF. It is headed by Kuldeep Singh. Okay. Border Security Force, the world's largest border protection force. Our BSF is the world's largest border protection force. Pankaj Kumar Singh. National Security Guard, the elite, not elite, ELITE is not pronounced elite, it's pronounced elite. Okay, yeah, elite. And it is headed by M.A. Ganapathy. CISF, which guards our airports, they guard not just the airports but critical establishments like nuclear power plants and other important establishments. CISF is headed by Sheel Vardhan Singh. Yes. In accordance with the drone rules 2021, which of the following private sectors can use drones for delivery purposes? All of this. So the government of India is now, asking people to use drones for, last mile connectivity. This has helped a great deal in vaccine delivery this time. So for delivery in remote areas, essentials in remote areas, drones are being used. These are all, this law enforcement drones could go into places where it would be very difficult for humans to go. For our professional soldiers to go. So drones are being used for all purposes now. Myanmar has extended the state of emergency by 6 months until Feb 2023. Which of the following statements are correct? Naypyidaw is the capital city. Yes. Kyat is an official currency. Mizoram, Manipur, Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh share boundaries with Myanmar. Yes. Yangon is the largest city. Yes. Yangon was the capital of Myanmar in the past. But the ruling, not now. See, today there is a military government. Okay. Today the military government is headed by. The military government comprises a small group of people at the very top. That small group is called junta. It's pronounced with an H. Written junta. Okay. So a small group of military personnel ruling a country is called junta or junta. Junta is the right pronunciation. So in Myanmar, before the current junta came to power, after throwing out the democratically elected government, there was military government. Between 1962 to 2011, there was military government in Myanmar. Okay. So there was this guy his name is General Navin, forget his name. There is a military guy, the leader of the country. He said, he always believed, he believed in astrology a great deal, and his favorite number was 9. So one of his favorite astrologers had told him that, look, there is danger of an invasion by the United States because we have not been promoting democracy in our country. There are, a great deal of sanctions against our country from the US, EU and other countries. So we believe that Yangon is not a safe place for you. It's not a safe place for you. We want you to shift the capital to a new place in the center of the country. And that is how Naypyi Daw was selected. It was a tiny village in the middle of a jungle, middle of the country. So they changed that entire thing, flattened the forest, and built a new city. It's a planned city. Naypyi Daw is a planned city. So the entire government machinery was moved from Yangon to Naypyi Daw. Okay? And today, Myanmar is headed by, I'll just clear this first. It's headed by Min Liang Ong. This is the name of the leader of Myanmar, okay, military leader. See, Yangon was in the past called Rangoon. Rangoon. This is where the leader of the nominal leader of the 1857 First War of Independence, Bahadur Shah Zafar, taken. He was put here under house arrest. He was a poet. His name was Bahadur. Shah means king. Zafar was his pen name. So Bahadur Shah Zafar wrote a lot of poems, a lot of songs, nazams and all. In one of his nazams he says, दो चार दिन मांग के लाए थे जिंदगी से, दो आरजू में कट गए दो इंतजार में. I asked for 4 days from life. I asked life for 4 days. Two went in longing. Two went in longing, and two went in, wishing. So, I mean, it's quite deep. I don't know whether it's translated stuff sounds interesting, but the Hindi, the Urdu Hindi version sounds very good. Yeah. So he also said, there are two very famous poems. In fact, he wrote. I suggest you. His mausoleum is here. When Prime Minister Modi visited Myanmar, he went to his mausoleum, his qabr, to pay respects here. Yeah, he went here. What is the name? And when he died there, he was buried there. So before his death, of course, he wrote, "Kitna badnaseeb Zafar ke kuए यार में 2 गज ज़मीन न मिली." How unfortunate is Zafar that in his beloved homeland he could not get, 6 feet of burial ground. He loved India very much, of course, but then, What is the name of the 3rd edition of the Vietnam-India bilateral army exercise held in Chandi Mandir sometime in August 2022? Windbags. What is it? Windbags. So I think we discussed this, some of this we discussed. Dharma Guardian, we said Japan. Okay. Maitrey, Thailand. Yudh Abhyas, US. Prabal Dostik, Kazakhstan. Okay. See, Dustalik is Uzbekistan. You look up your notebook. Dustlik is Indonesia, Uzbekistan. Dostik is Kazakhstan. Steep friendship, strong friendship. Prabal Dostik. Who is the chief of the Indian Army? Manoj Pandey. General Manoj Pandey. Okay, guys, according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, with a little over $13 billion to her name, whom the following is the richest woman in Asia as of today. Savitri Jindal is the chairperson emeritus of Jindal Group, OP Jindal Group. She's the chairperson emeritus. It's more of an honorary position. Okay. You must have heard of Navin Jindal, Sajjan Jindal. Yeah, the family. These women here, Wu, Yang, Fan, all are, Chinese women. And if you look at Wu and Yang, they belong to the property companies. They own some property companies. I'll not go there. Fan owned one petrochemicals company. So So don't worry too much about this. They have suffered a great deal. They lost a lot of money because of the Chinese government's crackdown on the property market there. The last name there, that of Kiran Majumdar Shah, is pretty important to us. Kiran Majumdar Shah is the chairperson and MD of Biocon, India's biggest biotechnology company. India's biggest biotechnology company. Yes. In which of the following areas did India and Maldives sign an agreement following talks between Prime Minister Modi and Maldivian President Soli? Okay, all of them. What is the Maldivian? If you want to write something extra about Maldives, capital is Malay. Currency is rupiah. Something more I want you to write is this: world's lowest country. World's lowest country. Now, why do we say world's lowest country? And the average height is 1.5 meters. Average altitude above sea level is 1.5 meters. It's a big wave and it will be underwater kind of thing. Sad. Okay. And this is a country which comprises a few islands, but the islands are spread across 90,000 square kilometers. 90,000 square kilometers. 90 K is kilo is 1000. Okay. Which state government's decision to grant 100% quota to locals in government jobs were recently quashed by the Supreme Court of India? Of course, it is discriminatory. Jharkhand. What is it? Jharkhand. Jharkhand's CM is Hemant Soren. It is India's second youngest state. So, what is that? It became a state on 15th of November 2000. Okay, in that month, November 2000, three states came into existence: Chhattisgarh, Uttarakhand, and Jharkhand. Rajasthan is India's biggest state by area. 3.42 lakh square kilometers. Biggest state by area. And the CM is Ashok Gehlot. Maharashtra, third biggest by area. The chief minister is Eknath Shinde. Odisha, Naveen Patnaik. Telangana, K. Chandrasekhar Rao. India's youngest state, K. Chandrasekhar Rao. Headed by K. Chandrasekhar Rao. Next. Identify India's table tennis players who retained their men's team championship title with a convincing 3-win win over Singapore in the Commonwealth Games at Birmingham. All of them. Sharad Kamal won the singles title also, and he won the mixed doubles title with I think Akula Shrija. Yeah. Sharad Kamal is I think he's about 40 years old, but I'm not very sure of the age. But he is a champion. He is India's best paddler, PADDLER, table tennis player. Which institution recently declared access to a clean and healthy environment as a universal human right? United Nations General Assembly. This is the main organ of the UN, the United Nations. See, we should not say United Nations Organization because there is no there is no organization. It's simply called United Nations. Okay, so United Nations main organs. It has 6 organs. Okay, I'll clear this and write. It's easier that way. 6 UN organs. Okay. 1 General Assembly, 2 Security Council, 3 ECOSOC or Economic and Social Council, 4 Trusteeship Council, then International Court of Justice, and Secretariat, the office of the Secretary General. Secretariat. All the 5 are these 5, okay? These 5 all are headquartered in New York. Only ICJ is headquartered outside New York City. It is in The Hague, which is the capital of Netherlands, which is a major city in Netherlands, the Netherlands. Okay. Current President of the United Nations General Assembly. All members of the UN are members of the General Assembly. Remember that. All members of the UN are members of the General Assembly. Currently, the UN has 193 members plus 2 observer states. 2 observer states. 2 observer would be 2 observers. One would be Palestine, and the second would be Vatican. Okay. And the president of the UN General Assembly is Abdullah Shahid of Maldives. Abdullah Shahid of Maldives. We wrote a lot of stuff. Yeah. So let me clear this. UNESCO Secretary General, the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. Secretary General is Audrey Azoulay of France. United Nations Children's Fund is a new name of UNICEF, and it is headed by Catherine Russell of the US. ILO, Guy Ryder, British guy. Guy Ryder. United Nations, so ILO is International Labour Organization, and United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, HCR, United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, headed by Filippo Grandi. Of Italy. Emma McKeown recently broke the record for the most Commonwealth Games medals ever with 19 in total. She's from Australia. She's a swimmer. Australian swimmer. Not only Commonwealth Games, 19 medals. She is a 11-time Olympic medals winner. 11 Olympic medals. That's a lot of medals, man. 11 Olympic medals, of which 4 golds and 1 bronze came at Tokyo. Can you beat that? Not 1 bronze, 3 bronzes. So 7 medals were there. 4 golds and 3 bronze medals at Tokyo, Olympic Games. So in all 11 medals. Fair. Who among the following Formula One drivers won the 2022 Hungarian Grand Prix? Max Verstappen. He comes from, what is this place? Netherlands. He is from Netherlands. And his team is Red Bull Racing, Bull Powertrains, Red Bull Racing. The RBPT stands for Red Bull Powertrain. Don't worry. Powertrain. Don't worry. You just write RBPT. Number 2 was a guy called Lewis Hamilton. I'll just give you a clue about this, okay? He belongs to the UK and he is a 7-time world champion, Formula 1 world champion. This guy is a 2021 champion. He is leading in 2022 also, okay? Leading currently. Lewis Hamilton drives for Mercedes. Yeah, that's enough. Yeah, he was number 2 this time, and number 3 was a guy called George Russell. Don't write George Russell, same stuff. Okay, George Russell of UK. George Russell of UK driving for Mercedes. Which public sector unit signed an MOU with the National Tiger Conservation Authority for the transcontinental relocation of the cheetah in its historical range in India? The Indian Oil Corporation. Indian Oil Corporation. So, you write Operation Tiger started 1973. 1973. India has 50 tiger reserves. India has 50 tiger reserves. Next. I just wanted to tell you something. That's because it's the Tiger Conservation Authority. Now, Shrikant Madhav Vaidya is the chairperson of Indian Oil Corporation. Okay. Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, Nalin Shinghal. It is one of the world's biggest engineering companies. Nalin Shinghal. See, Bharat Electronics Limited does not have a full-time chairperson now. What it has is a part, is a person with the double, additional charge, and her name is Anandi Ramalingam. Don't write this because it's an interim charge. Oil and Natural Gas Corporation, Subhash Kumar. Hindustan Petroleum Corporation Limited, Pushpa. I'll write it here. Pushpa. I'm so sorry. Pushpa Kumar Singh. Pushpa Kumar, not Singh, Joshi. I'm sorry, yeah. Pushpa Kumar Joshi. So, Pushpa Kumar Joshi. Okay? Yeah. Which institution added a 106-year-old astronomical observatory at Langat Singh College in Bihar's Muzaffarpur on its checklist of essentially endangered heritage observatories of the sector? UNESCO comes up with this kind of listing every year. Okay, so JAXA is Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency. Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency. It's Japan's space agency. WTO we know. NASA. National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Space Administration. America's space agency. ESA. European Space Agency. European Space Agency. Okay. The book titled The Dolphin and the Shark, Stories on Entrepreneurship has been authored by Namita Thapar. What about the choices? Jhumpa Lahiri. Write one book. The Namesake. Namesake. Salman Rushdie. Oh, plenty of books. Um, Midnight's Children. Midnight's Children. Amitav Ghosh. His latest book is this is. I have this book. I have read this book. The Great Derangement. Yes, The Great Derangement. Colon. Climate change and the unthinkable. Unthinkable. Sashi Tharoor. An era of darkness. An era of darkness. An era of darkness. The RBS Financial Inclusion Index for the year ended 31st March to 2022 improved to 56.4 in the previous index. Okay, from the previous index. The index includes details of all of this. Okay, financial inclusion is a goal of the current government. This is one of the reasons why zero balance accounts have been allowed to be open. There are Jan Dhan Yojanas, Jan Dhan Yojana. Through this Jan Dhan Yojana, people can open bank accounts and not keep any money. But when I say not keep any money, not even the bare minimum. 29 crore people, some say 32 crore people have opened bank accounts through the Jan Dhan Yojana. Jan Dhan Yojana. In these nearly 30 crore accounts, about 1.7 lakh crore rupees has been deposited into the accounts. Earlier, this money was at home because these people could not access a bank account because there were a lot of formalities. But now the money that was at home, saved at home, kept at home, is now being put in the bank. So that much money has come into the banking system. As of today, 1.7 lakh crore rupees. That's a lot of money. Okay. Which of the following banks was formerly the Imperial Bank of India? State Bank of India. Why don't you write this? State Bank of India. Right. State Bank of India. Title. Below that. First point. Bank of Calcutta. Bank of Calcutta. 1806. Bank of Bombay, 1844, 1843-44. Just soon after, Bank of Madras was started, same time, 43-44. Next point. All three were merged in 1921, I'm so sorry. All three were merged in 1921 and named the Imperial Bank of India. The Imperial Bank of India. The Imperial Bank of India. Next, last point. In 1955, the Imperial Bank of India was nationalized and renamed is it State Bank of India. State Bank of India. Renamed State Bank of India. So, okay. Let's give me. Now my question, I told you that I would discuss this issue, Taiwan issue in this class. What's the capital of Taiwan? I just took a simple question, that's it. What's the capital of Taiwan? It's not Taiwan, it is Taipei City. Taipei. Taipei City. Okay, this is Taipei. This is Taiwan. Now this map may not look like the exact map, okay, because here it is shown as Indian claim, but this is India, my friends. It's all India. Okay, this is occupied by China. It's called Aksai Chin. Aksai Chin. Aksai Chin. So when we say Aksai Chin, okay, Aksai Chin is that part of Ladakh, today's Ladakh, that has been occupied by China. That part of Ladakh that's occupied by China. Okay, so that's Taiwan. That's Aksai Chin for you. Tokyo's capital of Japan. Hanoi, Vietnam. This is Vietnam. Okay. Pyongyang, North Korea. North Korea. Vientiane, Laos. There is Laos here. Okay, this is Laos. This is Laos. So from here I'll take you to a story. Okay, I have another map as well, but before that let me clear this. So why is China so angry? Why is China so angry with, you could say, the US with Taiwan? So I'll take you there. Okay, guys. The story goes like this. China says Taiwan is a part of its territory. Taiwan is a part of its territory. China has 22 provinces and China says Taiwan is its 23rd province. 23rd province. Now, please understand something here, that Taiwan says, no, we are an independent country. Now, you may wonder, if someone says they are an independent country, how is it that China says you are a part of us? That is, the roots of this crisis go back to about, you could say, about 100 years. So what exactly happened? See, in 1921, a party called the Kuomintang was started. Kuomintang. This was a party of nationalists. They were deeply anti-European powers that ruled this, that had cut China into pieces. Okay, and the British were ruling here. The British were ruling here. Okay, the Germans were in the Shantung province. You know, most Europeans had cut China into parts, into spheres of influence. Sphere, S-P. Sphere. It is pronounced with an F. Okay, not spear, sphere. Spheres of influence. So, this spheres of influence, you need to understand something here, that the idea behind this spheres of influence was that somewhere the Europeans came to realize that China was way too big for any single European country to rule. So they took undivided China like this. In those days, this was also part of China, this entire thing. So if you look at it carefully, it looks like a ball. So they took a map of undivided China and cut it. This cutting of the Chinese watermelon, yeah, is what determined the control of the Europeans over large parts of China. Okay, now in 1911, the monarchy was thrown out. The monarchy was thrown out. Okay, I'll just cut it here. In fact, I'll just change because I have to repeatedly type A, and this is good. Let's go here. Yes, now it's good. Uh, the Kuomintang came to power in 19. It became a reality in 1925. But before that, in 1911, China became a republic. China became a republic. This is the time when the last Chinese monarch was thrown out by the Chinese, people. The last Chinese monarch was from the Manchu dynasty. This is the Manchu area, Manchuria. This is called Manchuria. So he was thrown out, and the republic was established. A republic is a system in which the head of the state is an elected representative. Now, in India, we are a republic because the head of the state of India is the president, and the president is elected. Okay. Britain is not a republic because Britain's head of the state is a monarch who comes to the office by way of inheritance. So China became a republic in 1911. A decade later, the Chinese Communist Party was born. In 1920s, Chinese Communist Party was born. It was called the CPC, Communist Party of China. It was born. And then there was another party called the Kuomintang. Kuomintang, in short called KMT. These are the communists and these are the nationalists. They never saw eye to eye. They fought majorly among themselves. So throughout the 1920s and 30s, they fought against each other for control of the country. But in 1937, Japan invaded China. Japan invaded China in 1937, and they destroyed large parts of China. They killed lakhs of people across China, and in one particular city which they destroyed, in such a way that episode has come to be called the rape of Nanking. The rape of Nanking. It's here. Okay, Nanjing. Now it's called rape, it's called Nanjing, but in those days it was called Nanking. So, these guys, both the KMT and the communists, they said, okay guys, let's stop fighting among ourselves. Let's come together to fight against the common enemy, the Japanese. So they joined hands. Both the communists and the KMT joined hands and fought against the Japanese. The Japanese were thrown out eventually, and 1945, the Second World War ended. When the communists saw that they played a major role in defeating the Japanese. So between 1945, the KMT and the Communist Party of China again went into a war. This was a civil war. It was a major war. For 4 years, they fought against each other everywhere. And in almost all places, the Communist Party defeated the KMT. They defeated the KMT. So in 1949, even though the KMT was in power in the capital, Peking, in those days called Peking, now it's called Beijing, these guys escaped. They escaped from here to this island. The KMT escaped here, and then from here, see, in Taipei, in those days, this island, Taiwan was called Formosa. So in the civil war between KMT and communists, the communists defeated the KMT escaped to Taiwan, okay, and in Taiwan, they established the Republic of Taiwan, They said, we are the true China. And they said, we shall occupy the whole of China once again. We shall bring the whole of China under KMT once again. Okay. So they declared a separate country in 1949. Since 1949 till date, it has been an independent country. But you also have to understand one more thing, that the US supported Taiwan. Now, where does the US come into this? Now, look at this. 1949, Taiwan became a reality. Okay. In 1950, the Korean Peninsula saw a war called the Korean War. The Korean War. This was between Communist North and Democratic South. The South was supported by the US, and the North, which is communist, was supported by China and the USSR. USSR were communist. So America thought that, look, China is communist, USSR is communist. To control the spread of communism from China into this part and elsewhere in South, in the Pacific area, we need to stop them. We need to have control of a territory where we can stand, and keep an eye on what's happening in China elsewhere, in communist countries. And that is where they got interested in Taiwan. So, from the Korean Peninsula, they looked at Taiwan and they said, yes, this is a good place to go. And that is where Taiwan came under American security. So in Taiwan, they established lots of military bases. America stationed huge number of troops, soldiers, military bases, aircrafts, naval ships and everything in Taiwan. China never liked it. China says, how could America do this? Taiwan is our territory and this is a violation of our territory. The presence of American military forces in Taiwan is a violation of our territory. China told the world that they got to believe in, one China. That one China would include Taiwan. So this is the true China, including Taiwan. But America said, nothing doing. We don't believe in this. So 2 decades, almost 50s, 60s, they were, at loggerheads. They could not see eye to eye. But then China began to experience some problems. Problems with who? 2 major problems. One with USSR. One was with USSR. This USSR problem was a major problem. Okay. USSR and China had border disputes here. China says this is ours. The USSR says no. Said that it is ours. So they could not see eye to eye. And China began to introduce its own version of communism called Maoism, which was different from the communism propagated by the USSR called Leninism or Marxism, or both. So China didn't see this. They didn't like this. So China said, one, we need to break away from the USSR, and 2, we also need paisa. Economically, they were not doing well in the late, in the 70s and all that. But Mao was not ready for this. So anyway, they saw that USSR's enemy is US and enemy's enemy is our friend. So they embraced the Americans. Because they were angry with the USSR, they broke away with USSR. Then now they were left as the only power. The Americans and the Chinese saw each other as enemies in the past, but now they saw each other as friends, because enemy's enemy is a friend. For China, their enemy being USSR, USSR enemy being US, became a friend. The US became a friend. For US, their enemy being the USSR, China being an enemy of USSR, automatically made China a friend of the US. So the US and the Chinese got down to talking. And in the early 70s, they established diplomatic relations, and they said that we withdraw our official recognition of Taiwan. Till then, the Americans said this is true China. Now, in the hope of befriending China, getting China support elsewhere in the world, Taiwan was thrown out, by the Americans. Americans left Taiwan. America said, Okay, Taiwan, you stand aside. We have bigger things to deal with. So they dealt with China, and China was quite eager, quite happy because now they got two things. One, American support to America, pushed out Taiwan. That's it. Yeah, it was a win-win for China. Now, since then, there were great number of voices in America that went against this relationship with China. So the American government came up with something called the U.S. Taiwan Military Act or the Security Act. It's called the Security Act. Okay. The 1979 Taiwan Security Act says that in case of an invasion by China or any other country of Taiwan, America will militarily support Taiwan. So there is a law in America called the 1979 Taiwan Security Act. Under that law, America is obligated to intervene on behalf of Taiwan if there is an attack on Taiwan. But China in the 70s and 80s was a small fry. But in the 70s and 80s, slowly they began to push their military spending. And ladies and gentlemen, this year, China is going to spend an official $285 billion. Official, because I believe, as someone who spent nearly 3 decades on this, I started this when I was 11 years old. More than 3 decades I spent on this. I can tell you for sure, my gut instinct is that China could spending 3 times that official number. Yeah, because China's everything's opaque, not transparent in China. So you need to understand that China could be spending somewhere close to $700 billion on its military, and that is a lot of money considering that America itself spends some $800 billion. Okay, so today, China's military is a major factor in defining the relationships in this part of the world. The Americans are afraid because the Chinese have aircraft carrier destroyer missiles. Yes, they can, with a single missile, break an aircraft carrier into 2 parts. So the Chinese can shoot down satellites. The Chinese are no longer that small country, small pushover, to be pushed aside country in the 1970s or 80s. So today there is a great deal of fear among the people of Taiwan that while America might say they will come to our aid, but the distance between Taiwan and China is way too small for the Chinese to be stopped. So it is entirely possible that tomorrow, I don't see an invasion in the near future, but you never know the Chinese, they can be doing anything they want. Okay, they know that no one could people will only protest. The Americans will not like to directly engage with China in a war. I have this because their economy is not doing well, and they are bogged down in Ukraine also. Their power is not great. If you look at the American allies, South Korea, Japan, they're not militarily strong to take on China. America is militarily strong to take on China, but China has a deep missile arsenal, a very deep bhandar of nuclear weapons. Yeah, and they have super long range missiles that can reach all parts of America. So in case of a war between the US and China over Taiwan, things could get really ugly and no one will remain immune. And there is intense pressure in China to do something about Taiwan. Pressure on whom? Pressure on the armed forces, pressure on the government. Now, why is the government okay with such things? Because the economy of China is not doing well. China is struggling a lot. The property sector in China has crashed. Okay, the education sector has crashed. global slowdown has meant that the Chinese exports worth $2,500 billion compared to ours 410. Ours is 421. Their exports are $2,500 billion. Their exports could struggle to find markets because of global slowdown. And if the global slowdown, and not just this, their a lot of sectors, because of global slowdown, their exports would not find markets, which would mean that the companies that manufacture these products might have to be shut down or slow down. They cut production. When that would mean that they will have to fire employees. That would mean that unemployment would increase, and that would push up a lot of social and economic tension in China. And considering that Chinese economy is already struggling, they said that 3.3% is a growth this year, but it's unlikely to be anywhere between more than 2% this year. Okay, China is going to struggle a lot, but to divert the attention of the ordinary Chinese, maybe the government of China might increase the pressure, military pressure on Taiwan and the US. This is one way of distracting. You understand that patriotism is the last refuge of the scoundrel. So they can do anything. Things could get really ugly in the days to come. Let us see. Let us wait, because international politics is unpredictable, deeply unpredictable. Okay, so it all starts with us. Let's work a little bit. Okay. I hope you learned a few good things. But I want to present to you a different perspective. How do you look at the world? China says Taiwan is ours, isn't it? China says Arunachal Pradesh is ours. China says that part of Kashmir is ours. Okay? China says that part of Russia is ours. China also says that there is a part of Mongolia that is ours. Yeah, they say that. Now let me take you as to how Taiwan looks at the world. Okay, this is Taiwan. This is Taiwan. Okay, now Taiwan looks at this. This is the legend. You see this. This is the Free Republic of Taiwan, China. This is true China, Republic of China. This is what we call China, but you see, claimed by Republic of China, claimed by Taiwan, but administered by PRC, People's Republic of China. This is People's Republic of China. While it is occupied by People's Republic of China, it is actually Taiwan. That's what they say. This is the true Republic of China. Taiwan says it's all ours. It's all ours. Okay. Amazing worldview. See this. This is Arunachal Pradesh. You see this in great. See, they say this is administered by India but claimed by ROC. They claim Arunachal Pradesh. There is one part of Myanmar. They say this is claimed by, this is ours, but administered by Myanmar. You see this now. Okay. This area, they claim this also. This entire area, they say it's ours, but it is administered by Mongolia. The perspective, my friends, the perspective. So you can see all this. If you look at this map carefully later. Okay. In Kashmir also this is. Yeah. So there are a lot to learn. I am fascinated with all of these things. I hope you learned a few good things. And the more you learn, the better for you, my friends. Thank you for being here. That's all from me, Bharat C. Jain. I wish you a great journey ahead, and please make sure you stay curious today and tomorrow, and remember this every day. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much.